Hi readers, welcome to The City of Ember by Jeanne DuPrau, Chapter 12, A Dreadful Discovery. About a week after he and Lina had seen the man come out of the mysterious door, Doon was assigned to fix a clog in Tunnel 207. It turned out to be easy. He undid the pipe, rammed a long thin brush down it, and a jet of water spurted into his face. Once he'd put the pipe back together, he had nothing else to do. So he decided to go to Tunnel 351 and take another look at the locked door. It was strange, he thought, that no announcement about a way out of Ember had come. Maybe that door had not been what they thought it was. So he set out for the south end of the pipeworks. When he came to the roped-off passage in Tunnel 351, he ducked in and walked along through the dark, feeling his way. He was pretty sure the door would be locked as usual. His mind was on other things. He was thinking of his green worm, which had been behaving oddly, refusing to eat and hanging from the side of its box with its chin tucked in. And he was thinking about Lina, whom he hadn't seen for several days. He wondered where she was. When he came to the door, he reached absently for the knob, and what he felt startled him so much that he snatched his hand back as if he'd been stung. He felt again carefully. There was a key in the lock. For a long moment, Doon stood as still as a statue. Then he took hold of the doorknob and turned it. Very slowly, he pushed on the door. It swung inward without a sound. He opened it only a few inches, just enough to peer around the edge. What he saw made him gasp. There was no road or passage or stairway behind the door. There was a brightly lit room whose size he could not guess at because it was so crowded with things. On all sides were crates and boxes, sacks and bundles and packages. There were mounds of cans, heaps of clothes, rows of jars and bottles, stacks of light bulb packages. Piles rose to the low ceiling and leaned against the walls, blocking all but a small space in the center. And in that small space, a little living room had been set up. There was a greenish rug, and on the rug an armchair and a table. On the table were dishes smeared with the remains of food, and in the armchair facing Doon was a great blob of a person whose head was flopped backwards, like this, so that all Doon could see of it was an upthrust chin, like, because he's sitting in the chair and his head back like that. He's asleep. The blob stirred and muttered, and Doon, in the second before he stepped back and pulled the door closed, caught a glimpse of a fleshy ear, a slab of gray cheek, and a loose purplish mouth. That day, Lina had more messages to carry than ever. There had been 5 blackouts in a row during the week. They were all fairly short. The longest was 4.5 minutes. Lina had heard, but there had never been so many so close together. Everyone was nervous. People who might ordinarily walk to someone's house were sending messages instead. Often, they didn't even come out into the street, but beckoned to a messenger from the doorway. By 5 o'clock, Lina had carried 39 messages. Most of them were more or less the same. I'm not coming to the meeting tonight, decided to stay home. I won't be in to work tomorrow. Instead of meeting me in Clothing Square, why don't you come to my house? No one wants to go out because they're afraid that when they're out walking around, the lights will go out and they won't be able to find their way back home. The citizens of Ember were hunkering down, burrowing in. Fewer people stood around talking in groups under the lights in the squares. Instead, they would pause briefly to murmur a few words to each other and then hasten onward. Lina was on her way home to Mrs. Murdo's. She and Poppy had moved in with all their things when she heard rapid footsteps. Startled, she turned and saw Doon racing toward her. At first, he was so out of breath he couldn't speak. "What is it? What is it?" said Lina. "The door," he panted, "the door. In 351, I opened it." Lina's heart leapt. "You did?" Doon nodded. Is it a way out? Lina whispered fiercely. No, Doon said. He glanced back behind him. Clutching Lina's arms, he pulled her into the shadowy spot on the street. It doesn't lead out of Ember, he whispered. It leads to a big room. Lina's face fell. A room? What's in there? Everything. Food, clothes, boxes, cans, light bulbs, stacks of them. Everything. Piles and piles up to the ceiling. His eyes grew wide, and someone was there in the middle of it all, asleep. Who? A look of horror passed over Doon's face. The mayor, he said, conked out in a big armchair with an empty plate in front of him. The mayor, Lina whispered. Yes, the mayor has a secret treasure room in the pipeworks. They stared at each other speechless. Then Doon suddenly stamped hard on the pavement, his face flushed red. Remember Doon's temper? He gets really mad. I mean, there's a reason to be mad, yeah, but he needs to remember, think before he acts. That's the solution he keeps telling us about. It's a solution for him, not the rest of us. He gets everything he needs, and we get the leftovers. He doesn't care about the city. All he cares about is his fat stomach. Lina felt dizzy, as if she'd been hit on the head. What will we do? She couldn't think. She was so stunned. Tell everyone, said Doon. He was shaking with anger. Tell the whole city what the mayor is robbing us. Wait. Lina put a hand on Doon's arm and concentrated for a minute. Come on, she said at last. Let's go sit in Harkin Square. I have something to tell you too. At the north end of Harkin Square stood a circle of believers, clapping their hands and singing one of their songs. Lately, they seemed to be singing more loudly and cheerfully than ever. Their voices were shrill. Coming too soon to save us, they wailed, happy, happy day. Near the gathering hall steps, something unusual was happening. 20 or so people were pacing around and around, carrying big signs painted on old planks and on big banners made of sheets. The sign said, "What solution, Mayor Cole?" and "We want answers." Every now and then, the demonstrators would yell those slogans out loud. Lina wondered if the mayor was paying any attention. Doon and Lina found an empty bench on the south side of Harkin Square and sat down. Now listen, said Lina. I am listening, said Doon, though his face was still red and the look on his face was stormy. I saw Lizzie coming out of the storerooms yesterday, Lina said. She told him about the cans and Lizzie's new friend, Looper, and what Looper was doing. Doon pounded his fist on his leg. That's 2 of them doing it then, he said. Wait, there's more. Remember how I thought there was something familiar about the man who came out the door? I remembered what it was. It was that way he walked, sort of a dipping over sideways, and all that hair, that black hair all unbrushed and sticking out. I've seen him twice. I don't know why I didn't remember who it was right away. Maybe because I've only seen him from the front. I took a message for him on my first day. Doon was jiggling with impatience. Well, who was it? Who was it? It was Looper. Looper, who works in the storerooms. Lizzie's boyfriend. And Doon, Lina leaned forward. It was a message to the mayor that he gave me, and it was this: delivery at 8. Doon's mouth dropped open. So that means he's taking things from the storeroom for the mayor, and he's giving some to Lizzie and selling some in the store. Ah! Cried Doon. He slapped his hand against his head. Why didn't I get it before? There's a hatch in the ceiling near tunnel 351. It must go right up into the storerooms. Looper comes through there. That's what we heard that day, remember? A sort of scraping? That would have been the hatch opening. Then a thud, his sack of stuff dropping through. And then a sound like someone jumping down and landing hard on the ground. And then walking slowly, because he was carrying a load. And walking quickly on the way out because he left it all for the mayor. Lina took a deep breath. Her heart was drumming and her hands were cold. "We have to think what to do," she said. "If this were an ordinary situation, the mayor would be the one to tell." "But the mayor is the one committing the crime," said Doon. "So then we should tell the guards, I guess." "Do you think they should?" "We'll see." It makes sense to tell a guard, right? It's like, call the police. Okay. They're next in authority to the mayor. "Though I don't like them much," she added, remembering how she'd been roughly hustled down through the stairs from the roof of the gathering hall, especially the chief guard. "But you're right," Doon said. "We should tell the guards. They'll go down into the pipeworks and see for themselves that we're telling the truth. Then they can arrest the mayor and have all the stuff put back in the storerooms, and then they can tell the city what's been going on." "That's a much better idea," said Lina. "Then you and I can get back to what's more important." "What?" "Figuring out the instructions. Now that we know that the door we found wasn't the right one, we have to find the right one." "I don't know," said Doon. "We might be all wrong about the instructions. They could just be about some old pipeworks tool closet." He made a sour face. "Instructions for Egreston. What's Egreston? Or Egressman? Or whatever it was. Why couldn't he have been just an especially stupid pipeworks guy who needed instructions to find his way around?" He shook his head. "I don't know. I think maybe those instructions are just hogwash." "Hogwash? What's that?" "It means nonsense. I read it in a book in the library." "But they can't be nonsense. Why would they have been kept in a box like that with the strange lock?" But Doon didn't want to think about instructions right then. "We'll figure it out tomorrow," he said. "Right now, let's go find the guards." "Wait," said Lina, catching hold of the sleeve of his jacket. "I have one more thing to tell you." "What?" "My grandmother died." "Oh." Doon's face fell. "That's so sad," he said. "I'm sorry." His sympathy made tears spring to Lina's eyes. Doon looked startled for a moment, and then he took a step toward her and wrapped his arms around her. He gave her a squeeze so quick and tight that it made her cough, and then it made her laugh. She realized all at once that Doon, thin, dark-eyed Doon, with his troublesome temper and his terrible brown jacket and his good heart, was the person that she knew better than anyone now. He was her best friend. Remember how Lizzie acted when she told her that her grandmother died? "Oh, poor you. Too bad. So sad." Yeah. Lizzie's pretty self-centered, thinking about herself. Doon actually cares. "Thanks," she said. "Well," she smiled at him, "let's go and tell the guard." They crossed the square and climbed the steps of the gathering hall. Sitting at the big reception desk outside the door of the mayor's office was the assistant guard, Barton Snowd, the same one Lina had encountered on her first time here. Snowd looked bored. His elbows were on the desk, and his chin was moving very slowly from side to side. "Sir," said Doon, "we need to speak to you." "We need to speak with you." The guard looked up. "Certainly," he said. "Go right ahead." "In private," said Lina. The guard looked puzzled. His small eyes darted back and forth. "This is private," he said. "No one here but me." "But anyone could come along," said Doon. "What we have to say is secret, very important." "Very important," said Snowd. "Secret?" His face brightened. Grunting, he raised himself up from his chair and motioned them into a narrow hallway off the side of the main hall. "What is it?" he said. They told him. As they spoke, interrupting each other to make sure they got all the details, the guard's eyebrows gradually lifted higher and higher over his eyes. "You saw this room?" he said. "This is true? Are you sure?" He was chewing faster now. "You mean the mayor? You mean the mayor is..." At that moment, a little way down the hall, a door opened. Through it came 3 more guards, including, Lina spotted him by his beard, the chief guard. They strode forward, talking to each other in low voices, and as they passed, the chief guard threw a quick glance at Lina. "Does he recognize me?" Lina wondered. She couldn't tell. Barton Snowd finished his sentence in a husky whisper. "You mean the mayor is stealing? That's right, said Doon. We thought you should be informed because who else can arrest the mayor? And once you've done that, the guards can put all the things he's stolen back where they come from. And then tell the city that a new mayor has to be found, added Lina. And then tell the city that a new mayor has to be found, added Lina. Barton Snow leaned heavily against the wall and rubbed a hand over his chin. He seemed to be thinking. Something must be done, he said. This is shocking, shocking. He started back toward his desk, and Doon and Lina followed. I will make a note, he said, taking a pencil from the desk drawer. Lina watched as he wrote slowly on a scrap of paper. Mayor stealing, secret room. When he finished, he let out a satisfied breath. Very good, he said. Action will be taken, you may be sure, some sort of action, quite soon. Good, said Doon. Thank you, said Lina, and they turned to leave. The three guards were standing by the main door of the gathering hall as Doon and Lina went out. The chief guard moved aside to make way for them, and they went through the door and out onto the wide front steps. Lina glanced over her shoulder. Before the door swung closed, she saw the chief guard striding toward the reception desk where Barton Snow was standing up, leaning forward, his eyes shining with important news. Well, do you think it was a good idea? Who would you have told? If you found out what they found out, that the mayor of the whole city was stealing stuff just for himself so he could just eat and be comfortable by himself in a room, who would you tell? Think about that. Send me a note. Send an email. Let's take a poll and see who people would tell if they found out something so big and so important like that. Okay, the next chapter, chapter 13, is called Deciphering the Message. Deciphering means figuring it out, like decoding it. There's a message, and they have to figure out what it means. Okay, I think they're talking about that note that's all full of holes, and they got to figure out what it means. Okay, see you next time. In the meantime, keep reading.
You read the books, now ready, get set. BOBQC.net. You read the books, now ready, get set. BOBQC.net.